Turning 60 doesn't unlock secret elder wisdom. It unlocks a whole new set of lies people tell you about sleep, memory, pain, libido, and why your body suddenly acts like a glitchy smartphone on 1%. This video is 40 of the weirdest myths about your body and brain after 60. And the real reason they feel true is usually way more humiliating than the myth. 1. You believe that once you hit 60, your body magically requires significantly less sleep than a teenager. This is a comforting lie we tell ourselves to explain why grandma is vacuuming the living room at 4 a.m. The truth is much more tragic. Older adults need the exact same 7 to 9 hours of rest as 20-year-olds. They just lose the physiological ability to stay asleep. As you age, the brain's sleep architecture degrades, specifically the deep, restorative delta waves. You aren't waking up early because you're fully rested and ready to seize the day. You're waking up because your brain has betrayed you. So when you see a senior napping in the afternoon, they aren't being lazy. They are desperately trying to pay off a crushing sleep debt that their own biology refuses to let them settle during the night. 2. The myth of the mysterious old person smell is constantly blamed on poor hygiene, dusty clothes, or a lack of showers. You likely assume your elderly relatives smell that way because they just stopped caring about soap. This is a complete lie. That distinct scent is actually caused by a specific chemical compound called nonanol, which your body starts producing when omega-7 fatty acids on your skin oxidize. It is literally the smell of your body rusting in slow motion. No amount of scrubbing, cologne, or laundry detergent can fully remove it because it isn't sweat or dirt. It is a molecular change in your skin composition. So, wrinkling your nose at grandpa is unfair because he is just emitting the inevitable biological perfume of survival that you will eventually wear too. 3. There is a widespread belief that intimacy and libido simply evaporate the moment you sign up for Social Security. Society treats the bedroom of anyone over 60 as a place strictly for sleeping and complaining about back pain. This is laughably wrong. In reality, retirement communities are often far more active than assumed. Recent data suggests a significant rise in STDs among the over 60 crowd, because apparently fewer people worry about protection when pregnancy is off the table. The desire doesn't retire just because you did. Assuming older adults are past it isn't just biologically incorrect, it is arguably one of the biggest misconceptions in human sociology. 4. You might believe you can still handle your alcohol just as well as you did at the company Christmas parties of your 30s. The reality is that your internal tolerance has quietly plummeted while your confidence remained the same. As we age, the amount of water in our bodies decreases significantly, meaning there is less fluid to dilute the alcohol in your bloodstream. Effectively, one glass of wine at 60 hits your system much harder than it did at 30. Combined with a liver that processes toxins more slowly, you are setting yourself up for accidental intoxication. Trying to drink the younger crowd under the table is no longer a sign of toughness. It is a biological battle you will likely lose. 5. Senior moments are the inevitable first step toward losing your mind entirely. We have convinced ourselves that forgetting a name or misplacing keys is a sure sign of cognitive rot. This panic is unnecessary. In a healthy brain, intelligence and memory do not simply slide off a cliff the moment you collect a pension. What you are experiencing is likely a retrieval issue, not a storage issue. Think of your brain as a computer hard drive. At 20, it's empty and finds files instantly. At 70, it is full of decades of data, song lyrics, and useless trivia, so the search function takes a few milliseconds longer. Unless you are forgetting what a key is used for, you aren't going senile. You just have a cluttered mental filing cabinet. 6. Hair loss means you are going bald, and that is the end of the story. If only it were that simple. The cruelest myth is that your body stops growing hair. In reality, it just relocates it to the most horrifying places imaginable. While the follicles on your scalp might give up the ghost, the follicles in your nose, ears, and on your chin suddenly wake up and decide to work overtime. This is due to long-term exposure to testosterone, which affects hair follicles differently depending on location. So, you don't actually become hairless. You just transform into a creature that looks like it has a woolly caterpillar crawling out of its ear canal, while your forehead expands. It is not a loss of hair. It is a chaotic redistribution of resources. 7. The universal excuse that your metabolism crashes the second you turn middle-aged. People love to claim they are overweight solely because their internal furnace has gone cold. Science says stop lying to yourself. A massive study published in 2021 revealed that metabolic rates actually remain remarkably stable from age 20 all the way to 60. The reason you might be gaining weight isn't necessarily an invisible metabolic switch. It is often because you move less while eating the same amount. You aren't just fighting biology. You're fighting the fact that you swapped playing sports for sitting in meetings. Blaming your age is convenient, but for many, that extra weight is largely influenced by lifestyle choices. 8. You probably think osteoporosis is exclusively a problem for women and that men are immune to crumbling bones. This gendered assumption leaves millions of men completely vulnerable because they assume their skeletons are made of unbreakable steel. While it is true that women experience rapid bone loss after menopause, men inevitably catch up. By the time you reach 65 or 70, men lose bone mass at a similar rate, and they are actually more likely to suffer severe health complications from a hip fracture. The medical industry often overlooks this, meaning grandpa is less likely to get screened until he falls down. Ignoring your calcium intake because you think milk is just for ladies is a great way to ensure your golden years are spent in a cast. 9. We automatically assume that with age comes wisdom and a finely tuned BS detector that makes seniors impossible to fool. Sadly, some biological research suggests the opposite, which may explain why scammers target the elderly. It is not just about being lonely. A specific part of the brain called the anterior insula, which helps process gut feelings and skepticism, may show signs of decline. This means the biological warning bell that usually rings when a stranger asks for your bank details might be quieter than it used to be. Older adults aren't just being naive. Their brain's ability to detect something sketchy might be functioning differently, making vigilance even more important. 10. You treat walking as the holy grail of exercise, believing that a daily stroll around the block is all you need to stay fit. While walking is better than sitting on the couch, relying on it exclusively is a trap. Walking is great for your heart, but it does little to stop your muscles from melting away. To keep your ability to stand up from a chair or carry groceries, you need resistance. You need to lift things that are heavy enough to make you struggle. Your muscles do not care how many steps you took. They only care if you challenge them. If you only walk, you will end up with a great cardiovascular system inside a body that is too weak to use it. 11. Millions of people are convinced that playing Sudoku or using expensive brain training apps will turn them into a cognitive superhero and ward off dementia. This is a marketing lie designed to drain your wallet. Scientific studies repeatedly show that playing these games does not actually make your brain younger or smarter. It just makes you really, really good at that specific game. You aren't improving your memory for real-life events or preventing decline. You are just becoming a world champion at matching colored tiles on a screen. If you want to actually save your brain, you need to do something difficult and uncomfortable like learning a new language, not just filling in boxes with numbers while watching the news. 12. Chronic pain is just a natural part of aging that you have to accept. We treat joint pain and stiffness as if they are a mandatory tax for living past 60, like gray hair or wrinkles. This fatalistic attitude is dangerous. While some wear and tear is normal, persistent disabling pain is a signal that something is wrong, usually stemming from inactivity or treatable inflammation. By accepting the myth that old equals hurt, thousands of seniors avoid doctors and stop moving, which ironically locks their joints up further. If you wake up in pain every day, it isn't just because the calendar says so. It's worth checking with a doctor. You aren't supposed to feel like a rusted tin man just because you qualify for a senior discount. 13. There is a widespread belief that dentures are an inevitable graduation gift for reaching old age. We treat tooth loss as if it is a natural part of the life cycle, just like gray hair or reading glasses. This is completely false. Your teeth are designed to last significantly longer than you do, and they don't just fall out because of the calendar year. The primary cause of tooth loss in seniors is gum disease, which is entirely preventable with hygiene and not ignoring the dentist for a decade. If you take care of the supporting tissue, your natural teeth will stay firmly in your head. Ending up with a glass of teeth on your nightstand is a result of neglect, not nature. 14. You probably roll your eyes when an older relative claims their knees can predict a thunderstorm better than a meteorologist. You dismiss this as superstitious nonsense, but there might actually be some science behind it. The theory is all in the air pressure. When a storm approaches, barometric pressure drops, causing tissues in the body to expand slightly. For a 60-year-old with worn-out cartilage or inflammation, this expansion pushes against sensitive nerves, acting like a biological alarm system. So, while they cannot predict the lottery numbers, their joints are indeed reliable, albeit painful, weather stations that react to the atmosphere before the rain actually starts falling. 15. Relying on your sense of thirst to tell you when to drink water becomes a risky gamble as you age. Throughout your younger years, your brain sends a sharp signal the moment your hydration levels drop. But after 60, that signal often gets cut. Your body can be dangerously dehydrated, while your brain insists that you are perfectly fine. This physiological disconnect is why so many older adults end up hospitalized for dehydration during heat waves. They simply didn't feel like drinking. You have to treat drinking water like a mandatory job rather than a response to a craving, because waiting until your mouth feels dry might mean you have already waited far too long. 16. The story goes that stress will turn your hair white overnight, transforming you into a ghost if you have enough bad days. While stress is bad for you, the mechanism of graying is far weirder and more chemical than you think. You are actually bleaching yourself from the inside out. As you age, your hair follicles naturally build up hydrogen peroxide, the exact same harsh chemical you buy in a bottle to bleach stains. In your youth, an enzyme breaks this down, but after 60, that enzyme goes on strike. The peroxide builds up and literally bleaches the pigment out of your hair shaft. You are not going gray because of your kids. You're going gray because your head has turned into a chemical factory that is stripping the color away. 17. You are convinced that eating bushels of carrots and doing eye yoga will save you from the indignity of reading glasses. This is a denial of basic physics that marketers love to exploit. Around age 60, the lens of your eye hardens like a piece of stale bread, losing the flexibility required to focus on things close up. This is called presbyopia, and no amount of beta-carotene or rolling your eyes in circles will make that lens soft again. Thinking you can exercise your eyes back to youth is as useful as trying to squint your wrinkles away. You are not losing your sight because you did not eat enough vegetables. You are losing it because the moving parts of your eyes have simply stiffened up like an old rubber band. 18. People assume that getting a hearing aid is exactly like putting on a pair of glasses, instantly restoring your senses to perfect clarity. This lie leads to massive disappointment and frustration. Unlike glasses which correct focus, hearing aids just amplify sound, including all the garbage noise you do not want to hear. It turns a quiet room into a cacophony of refrigerator hums, traffic noise, and chewing sounds. Your brain has to completely relearn how to filter sound, which takes months of practice. Expecting to pop a device in your ear and immediately hear like a teenager is a fantasy. It is more like learning to listen through a cheap microphone while standing in a wind tunnel. 19. There is a condescending belief that older adults develop a sudden obsession with candy and cake because they are mentally regressing into a second childhood. We treat grandma like a toddler because she wants ice cream for dinner. The truth is far less psychological and more biological. Sweetness is the most resilient taste sensation to survive the aging process, sticking around long after your ability to taste bitterness and saltiness has faded away. Your elderly relatives aren't trying to act like children. They are simply trying to eat the only thing that still has a distinct flavor to them. Judging them for eating dessert first is unfair when their tongue has basically gone numb to everything else on the menu. 20. You look at those brown splotches on your hands and confidently call them liver spots, assuming your internal organs are slowly seeping to the surface. This name is a complete misnomer that doctors probably find hilarious. These marks have absolutely zero connection to how your liver is functioning. They are actually solar lentigines. They are basically permanent receipts for all the times you went outside without sunscreen in the 1970s. It is just a collection of melanin pigment that decided to clump together after years of ultraviolet abuse. Calling them liver spots is like calling a flat tire an engine failure. They are harmless cosmetic souvenirs from the sun, not a signal that your liver is packing its bags and quitting. 21. You might believe that surviving 60 years of flu seasons means you have an ironclad immune system that has seen it all and can fight off anything. This confidence is a dangerous trap. Research shows that your immune response actually slows down and becomes less coordinated as you age. Your immune memory isn't as sharp, meaning your white blood cells might react to new infections with the speed of a sloth. Assuming you don't need a vaccine because you haven't been sick in a decade is like assuming you don't need a seatbelt because you haven't crashed yet. Your body's defense department is understaffed, so do not test it. 22. There is a frustrating myth that muscle turns into fat the moment you stop exercising, like some sort of dark biological magic. People are terrified that if they skip the gym, their biceps will literally transmute into lard. This is scientifically impossible because muscle and fat are two completely distinct types of tissue, like wood and metal. One cannot become the other. What actually happens is that your muscle fibers shrink from lack of use, and fat cells eagerly expand to fill the vacancy. It creates the illusion of a transformation, but in reality, you are just replacing your engine with cargo space. You aren't witnessing alchemy. You are just witnessing a change in tendency within your own skin. 23. You treat sleeping pills as a harmless, magical fix for your age-related insomnia. You think popping an over-the-counter pill is better than staring at the ceiling. This is one of the most dangerous myths for the aging brain. Some studies suggest a link between long-term use of certain sleep aids, especially those with anticholinergic effects, and cognitive issues. You aren't just putting your body to sleep. You might be fogging your brain in a way you didn't intend. It is a chemical sledgehammer when what you really need is a better routine. Always consult your doctor before making any pill a nightly habit. 24. We cling to the romantic notion that you can simply pass away from old age as if your internal battery just gently hit 0%. This is a complete medical fairy tale we tell ourselves to make death seem less scary. In reality, old age is rarely a scientific cause of death. It is often a shorthand term used when multiple systems decline, but the underlying cause is usually specific, like organ failure or infection. Writing old age on a death certificate is basically just an admission that the body ran out of reserves to fight off a specific issue. It is a comforting lie, but biologically, your body does not just turn off without a specific reason. 25. You trip over a rug and laugh it off, saying you are just getting clumsy in your old age. You assume it is a personality trait or just bad luck. That is a lie that leads to broken hips. You are not clumsy. You are losing your proprioception. This is your brain's GPS system that tells you where your feet are without looking at them. As you age, the nerve sensors in your feet and ears get dull, so your brain literally loses track of where your legs are in space. By dismissing it as just being clumsy, you ignore the fact that you can retrain this sense with balance exercises. You are not doomed to fall. Your internal navigation system just needs a software update and some calibration. 26. You probably blame your tiny bladder for waking you up 3 times a night to use the bathroom. You assume the organ has shrunk, but the real culprit is often your heart and kidneys conspiring against you. During the day, gravity pulls fluid down into your legs, causing swelling that you might ignore. When you finally lie down flat to sleep, gravity is no longer holding that fluid in your ankles, so it rushes back into your bloodstream. Your kidneys suddenly have to process a massive wave of liquid, filling your bladder rapidly. If you notice leg swelling during the day, This is worth mentioning to a clinician. You don't have a bladder problem. You might have a fluid management issue. 27. We have all seen the ridiculous ads for face yoga claiming you can bench press your way out of sagging jowls. The idea is that making weird fish faces in the mirror will bulk up facial muscles and fill out your loose skin. This is a scam. The muscles in your face are not like your biceps. They are attached directly to the skin, not bone. When you contort your face into extreme expressions repeatedly, you are not smoothing anything out. You are actually folding the skin over and over again, creating deeper wrinkles. You are essentially ironing creases into your own face. You cannot exercise away excess skin any more than you can exercise away a pair of baggy pants, so stop making faces at yourself. 28. There is a terrified belief among many older women that shaving a stray chin hair will make it grow back thicker, darker, and faster. They think touching a razor will instantly transform them into a lumberjack with a full beard. This is a total optical illusion. Hair is dead protein. It has no idea you cut it and cannot communicate with the root to change its thickness. The reason it feels coarse when it grows back is that you cut it at a blunt angle, leaving a sharp tip like a tiny spear. Once it grows out, it gets soft again. You are not changing your biology by shaving. You are just dealing with the physics of a chopped-off strand, so put down the tweezers and stop worrying. 29. You have likely spent money on detox teas or foot pads because you think your body is full of sludge that needs to be flushed out. You imagine your insides are like a clogged drainpipe that requires a plumber. This is a scam designed to prey on your fear of aging. You already have a built-in high-tech detox system that works 24 hours a day. It is called your liver and kidneys. Unless these organs are actually failing, in which case you need a hospital, not a green smoothie, they are perfectly capable of cleaning your blood without your help. The only thing these expensive detox kits are flushing away is your retirement savings, leaving you with nothing but expensive urine. 30. The instinct to shout at an older relative who is hard of hearing is not only annoying, but scientifically counterproductive. You might think raising your volume helps, but for someone with age-related hearing loss or presbycusis, loudness is rarely the issue. The real problem is the loss of high-frequency sounds, which destroys clarity. When you scream, you are essentially just blasting distorted noise at them, making it even harder for their brain to separate words from the static. Instead of acting like a human megaphone, you should drop the pitch of your voice and enunciate clearly. They don't need you to be louder, they need you to stop mumbling and looking at your phone while you talk to them. 31. There is a stubborn belief that you should eat like a delicate bird once you retire, sticking to toast and light soups. You think heavy protein is for bodybuilders and young people. This idea is actually destroying your muscles. As you age, your body develops anabolic resistance, which means your muscles become hard of hearing and ignore protein signals. To get the same muscle-building effect as a 20-year-old, a 60-year-old actually needs significantly more protein in a meal. Eating light isn't keeping you light on your feet. It is actively making you frailer. You don't need just tea and crackers. You need real, substantial protein, whether it's meat, dairy, or beans. 32. You probably know someone who treats their morning bathroom visit like a sacred religious ritual that must happen at 8 a.m. sharp. The myth is that if you do not go once a day, your body is turning into a toxic waste dump. This is absolute nonsense fueled by laxative companies who want your money. There is no medical rule that says you must be on a 24-hour cycle. For many healthy people, 3 times a week is perfectly normal. By obsessing over this and forcing the issue with medication, you are actually destroying your body's natural rhythm and making your gut lazy. Your colon is not a ticking time bomb that will explode if you miss a day. It is just a storage tank that will let you know when it is full, so stop trying to micromanage it. 33. You believe that if you go on a strict diet, your stomach will physically shrink, making it easier to feel full with less food. You think your stomach is like a pair of jeans that gets tighter after a hot wash. That is a lie. Your stomach is a muscular bag designed to stretch and hold huge amounts of food, and it does not permanently get smaller just because you ate salad for a week. The feeling of fullness is controlled by hormones and brain signals, not the physical size of the organ. Thinking you have successfully shrunk your stomach is just your brain getting used to being hungry. You can't resize your internal organs by skipping dinner, so stop waiting for that miracle to happen. 34. You might have noticed that older people seem to have significantly larger ears and noses, and the myth is that these parts never stop growing. While it is true that cartilage continues to expand slightly, the main reason you end up looking like a caricature is actually gravity. Over 6 decades, gravity has been relentlessly pulling on the collagen in your ears and nose, stretching the connective tissue until it sags and elongates. It is the same reason your skin droops, but on your nose, it looks like growth. Basically, your face isn't getting bigger. It is just slowly sliding off your skull and pooling at the extremities, making your ears look like they are trying to escape your head. 35. You likely believe that a heart attack will always look like it does in the movies, with someone dramatically clutching their chest and collapsing to the floor. You are waiting for the Hollywood scene, but in reality, especially for older adults, the symptoms are often dangerously subtle. It frequently feels like simple indigestion, fatigue, or just a sore jaw. Because of this myth, thousands of seniors dismiss a life-threatening event as just a bad reaction to a spicy burrito. You keep waiting for the elephant to sit on your chest, but your body might just be whispering that something is wrong. If you feel off in a way you can't explain, get emergency help. Don't self-diagnose. 36. There is a pervasive myth that older people feel cold because their blood has physically thinned out, like watered-down soup. You hear this excuse every time a senior wears a wool sweater in the middle of July. The idea of thin blood is biological nonsense. Your blood viscosity stays pretty much the same your whole life. The real reason you are freezing while everyone else is sweating is that you have lost the insulating layer of subcutaneous fat underneath your skin. You have effectively lost your body's natural winter coat. It is not that your blood is too thin. It is that your skin has become a terrible blanket that lets all your heat escape, leaving you shivering in a room that feels like a sauna to everyone else. 37. You convince yourself that it is too late to quit bad habits like smoking or eating junk because the damage is done. You think your body is a lost cause, so you might as well enjoy the vice. This is scientifically lazy. The human body is ridiculously resilient. Within hours of quitting smoking at age 60 or 70, your blood pressure drops and circulation improves. Within a year, your risk of heart disease is cut in half. Your body does not give up on you just because you qualify for a pension. It is desperately waiting for you to stop poisoning it so it can start the repair work. Saying it is too late is just a convenient excuse to keep doing what is killing you. 38. There is a fatalistic belief that once you have wrinkles, using sunscreen is pointless because the damage is already done. You think your skin is like old leather that can't be hurt any further. This is incredibly wrong. Your skin actually becomes thinner and more fragile with age, making it even more susceptible to UV damage than it was when you were 20. It is not just about vanity or avoiding more spots. It is about the fact that your body's ability to repair DNA damage has slowed down. By skipping the sunscreen now, you are basically removing the armor right when your defenses are at their weakest. You are never too old to burn, and your skin is definitely not tough enough to ignore the sun. 39. We have normalized the idea that being old means being depressed, as if sadness is just a standard side effect of gray hair. You see a senior staring out the window and assume they are just melancholy because that is what old people do. This assumption is dangerous. Clinical depression is not a normal part of aging. It is a treatable medical condition. In fact, many older adults report stable or even higher levels of well-being compared to young people. If someone is constantly low, it is not biology. It might be an illness. Dismissing their mood as just old age is denying them the help that could make their final years actually enjoyable. 40. You probably scream at your grandkids to put on a jacket because you are convinced that cold air injects the flu virus directly into their lungs. This is one of the most persistent lies in history, The temperature outside doesn't spontaneously generate a virus inside your body. The reason people get sick in winter is largely because cold weather forces us indoors, crowded together in unventilated rooms, swapping germs like trading cards. Cold air might irritate your nose, but you are far more likely to catch a cold from a warm handshake at a holiday party than from walking to the mailbox without a hat. Stop blaming the weather for your runny nose. That was 40 myths your body feeds you after 60, and half of them exist because people confuse common with normal, and then build their whole life around it. Now for the comment section, blood sport. Which myth do you still believe even after hearing the truth? And which one are you most offended by because it exposed you personally? Be honest, name the myth and tell the story. And if you enjoy getting your ego medically humbled, hit like and subscribe, because the next list is even meaner.